What's up, guys? Welcome back to Disciplined Pat's Disciplined Weightlifting. This week's edition, we're going to be talking about volume versus frequency. So when you should be doing a lot of volume, when you should be switching over to frequency. So, as you guys may or may not know, looking at my training videos, I've started doing a more frequency-based program. So before I was doing a lot of volume, like a Russian style program, a lot of different variations, a lot of different exercises, a lot of different sets and reps, and so just a lot of volume in general, and it is exhausting. I've been doing that for about 2-ish years, doing a lot of volume. So I've recently switched over to less volume and more frequency and intensity. So what does that mean? It means I'm doing less exercises, less reps, and I'm breaking it up into 2 sessions in a day. So one session might be a single exercise, then the next session might be 2 or 3 hours later, and that might be 2 or 3 exercises. So what I've done by decreasing my volume, so bringing down the amount of reps and total, and the amount of exercises total, is that I've left a door open for me to increase my frequency. So the amount of times I'm training per day and the amount of intensity I'm doing in that training session. So now that I'm not doing 5 exercises with 1,000,000 sets and reps each, I can really boil it down to 2 or 3 exercises that I really need to focus on and really hit those hard and heavy. So what does that do for me? So I was building a base before the volume, so a lot of sets and a lot of reps were building kind of a baseline for me where I was getting stronger and I was working on weaknesses and stuff like that. Now that I've addressed all those weaknesses and gotten a little bit stronger, now I was trying to get more specific with my training. So more specific for me is weightlifting. So that's snatch and clean and jerk. I need to snatch and clean and jerk in competition, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on this next block of training. So focusing on working up to heavy weights in those multiple times a week, sometimes multiple times a day. And that's going to help build me that competition mentality, those competition lifts, and help me get better at those, because those are actually what I'm competing in. As much as I love doing deficit snatches and pause snatches and all different kinds of variations of pulls and squats and stuff like that, they're not going to get me better for those specific core lifts that I need to get better at. So increasing that frequency is going to help me practice those lifts more and get more benefit, or get more practice at those lifts and get better overall at them. And therefore, when I go to competition, I'm more ready for that competition day where it's hitting those heavy weights over and over and over again. So when should you switch from volume to frequency? So do volume for a while. Okay, so if you ever listen to Piros Dimas, he's like one of the greatest weightlifters ever. He talks about how he spent the majority of his early career training in a Russian system, so training different variations, a lot of volume, a lot of reps, a lot of sets. And then when he started getting really good is when his new coach, switched him over to a more Bulgarian program, which is more frequency and more intensity. So he had hammered his base for so long that by the time he switched over to more volume and frequency, he was ready to handle that, and he was ready to really push the numbers towards his greatest limit. And that's where I feel like I'm at in my training right now, is that I've built a really big base, and now it's time for me to really focus on the lifts and build those lifts. How can you apply that to your training? So if, say, you've done volume for 5 months, then start adding a session or 2 where you're just doing heavy weights. This can also be applied to something like CrossFit, where you're basically working on volume and frequency, but you can't really lower the volume in CrossFit because you need to do so much and you need to be good at so many things, but you can split up your frequency. So instead of doing 1 3-hour session, maybe break it up into 3 1-hour sessions. If you don't have time for that, maybe do an hour-and-a-half session in the morning and then an hour-and-a-half session in the afternoon. Obviously, if you only have time for 1 3-hour session, which is a long session, mind you, that's all you can do. But try to think about breaking up the frequency. And breaking up the frequency breaking up the sessions into more frequent sessions is only going to benefit you. There's no studies that have ever shown that adding more frequency is detrimental to training. Okay, adding more volume can be, but not adding more frequency. So I hope that helped a little bit. I'm Disciplined Pat. This is Disciplined Pat's Disciplined Weightlifting, and I'm out.